Okay, welcome. We're here with Fallon, who from Vital Femme, who's going to talk to us tonight about menopause. I am Carrie Temple. I'm one of the owners of F45 Training Largo East. We are a fitness studio in Largo. We offer group personal training. We specialize in circuit training and HIIT training. Everything's led by certified personal trainers. Right now, we're not in the studio, obviously. We are working out at home. We have live classes a couple times a day, and we invite you to join us. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to Deline to introduce herself and get us going. I'm going to mute everybody.
Thank you, Carrie. Thanks for doing this. I always love the chance to talk about my favorite subject, menopause. And I see we have a man here, so this is probably going to be fascinating to him. But I'm a nutritionist, and I haven't always been obsessed with menopause. This started about 5 years ago with my own, at the time I considered it kind of an epic battle, but since then I've discovered that it was really nothing special. Like, everybody kind of goes through something very similar. And normally what I do, can I share my screen? I have like a little deck that kind of, maybe that'll be more interesting to look at than my face.
Yeah, absolutely. Whatever you'd like to do. Yeah.
Okay, let me share this screen. And okay. All right, so that's me. So like I said, I got interested in the subject just out of necessity because I felt awful. And I'm a pretty fit person, and I eat well and I have good habits, and so I couldn't understand what was going on. And I went to every type of doctor. I went to a gynecologist, I went to a gastrointestinal doctor, I went to a DO, I went to this witch doctor that it turns out she was really a graphic designer that dabbled in healing modalities, whatever that means. But the point is that I didn't care because I was desperate. I just wanted to feel better. And I think a lot of women get to that point. They just want to feel better, and who cares where it comes from. No matter who I spoke to, though, they gave me the same diagnosis. They said, well, this is menopause. It's because of your hormones, and there's only one way to fix it. It's hormone replacement therapy. And this is over many months, and it didn't sit right to me. It didn't feel right that there was no other option, but I couldn't find any information. So that's what really launched me into this quest, if you will, to learn everything I could about menopause, and figure out what was really going on physically, what was happening with my head. Was I going crazy? Who knows? And so this was really born out of frustration. I wanted to find out what to do. And it led me to ask a question, which is menopause a day, or is it a disease? Because everyone's talking to me like it's a disease, but in reality, it's just a day. It's a marker on the path. You are officially in menopause 1 year after your last period. So that's just a day. There are some things that are true. It's true that as we enter our 40s and 50s, our bodies they're undergoing just a crazy amount of change. There's physical changes, and there are really seismic hormonal changes. That's true. It's also true that women in this age group have a certain basket of physical issues or complaint that are more alike than different. And there's a list of about 40 or 42 things that are officially considered symptoms of menopause, but they're the things that you have heard about or maybe experienced. It's that unexplained weight gain, it's the brain fog, it's fatigue, it's the mood swings, it's digestive issues, it's problems with your sleep, and it's the vasomotor symptoms like hot flashes and night sweats. That's true too. But A doesn't equal B. What happens in our culture is that we've pathologized this. We've turned this into a disease that is searching for a cure. And that cure is hormones. So my question then becomes, well, what is it that we're fixing exactly? If you have the hormones or the hormone profile of a menopausal woman when you are one, why is that a problem? Because the truth is that over our lifetime, we go through many, many profound shifts in our hormonal profile, and it changes day to day, hour to hour. Our lifestyle and dietary habits have a lot to do with that. And there are other huge shifts at other times in our life, like at puberty and when we become mothers. And those shifts in our hormones are actually there to protect us. They're to protect us and prepare us for whatever the next season that we're going into is. So this is really a myth, this idea that the shifting hormones is a problem that we need to fix. And actually, it's in the name, right? Hormone replacement therapy, because that indicates that there's something wrong, there's something missing or lost that we have to replace. And that's not true. So the focus on the symptoms that we're feeling, we're putting a Band-Aid on something. And do the hormones bring you relief? Yeah, a lot of women find relief. I mean, I've had friends tell me that their hormone, their HRT is the best thing ever. It made them super skinny and super horny. And I mean, who doesn't want that? Come on. But that relief comes at a price. So we're also, when we're focusing on this just narrow band of these certain symptoms that we're feeling and trying to eliminate them, we're missing a big opportunity, because these symptoms that we're feeling actually offer us clues. And the timing, I don't think the timing is accidental, because by the time this happens, we're probably in our 40s. You know, it could happen as early as your 30s or as late as your 60s, but for the most part, you're kind of in your late 40s, early 50s. And by that time, you've been doing what you do for decades. So there's a cumulative effect for all of your lifestyle and diet choices. And by shifting away from this idea that we're looking for a disease to cure, and by looking for the underlying issues of whatever it is that we're feeling, it allows us the space to actually correct those issues, and then the symptoms just disappear. That's a different viewpoint. That's very different than the prevailing wisdom, which is very much a reductionist approach. You know, there's this one thing, everything's because of this one thing. But what I submit to you is that it's much bigger, and it's all connected. So to give you an idea, you know, these symptoms that most women feel, some combination of them, you know, they can masquerade as something else. Is it really even about our hormones? So just to illustrate this, we can play a little game. Is it menopause or is it vitamin B deficiency? Well, when you look at how vitamin B deficiencies manifest in your body, it looks a lot like menopause. You get headaches, depression, memory loss. You get very fatigued. You have digestive issues. That sounds a lot like the same thing. And it's not a leap, because vitamin B deficiency, it affects about 20% of the population. And because so many, the way that we get it for the most part is from food and animal products, vegetarians and vegans are especially affected, up to 75% of them. But it's so easy to supplement. And in fact, when you do supplement, the same doctor, by the way, that would give you the HRT would also be happy to sell you a B12 shot. And the reason that they do that is they are so effective, and you start feeling the results or the effects of the vitamin B very quickly. If you did have a deficiency, you start feeling better in a few days. You know, you get mental clarity very quickly. You have a boost of energy, but you don't even need a shot. You just need a simple supplement. There's no known toxicity, so there's no problem. Just, you know, what you don't need, your body gets rid of. So I wonder, when I figured this out, I started wondering, well, why is this not the first line of questioning? You know, why aren't we looking first about what else could be the cause of these things that we're feeling? What else? What about vitamin D? Well, if you've got mood swings, if you've got unexplained weight gain, if your skin is getting all dry and crackly, if you're kind of feeling gassy and bloated, it could be menopause, but maybe you're just deficient in vitamin D. Now, this one is actually even a bigger problem. About half of the population, you know, depending on which reports you believe, somewhere between 42 and 80%. So if we split the difference and just say half. And it makes sense because although our body synthesizes the vitamin D that we need from the sun, our ability to do that efficiently really drops down as we age. And especially people that have a darker skin tone, you know, the melanin blocks that. So it makes it very difficult to get it from the sun unless you basically sit in the sun all day long. And, you know, that's not how we live anymore. So again, super easy to supplement and clears things up. If this was your problem, this clears it up right away. No hormones needed. And then the last one that I'll give you as an example is heart disease. You know, this is the #1 killer in America. It takes out about 650,000 people a year. But if you look at the symptoms, again, looks super familiar. Fatigue, confusion, weight gain, sweating and coldness. I mean, that actually describes most menopausal women right there. And when you add in the insomnia, we need to look at this, especially because heart disease starts developing when you're a child. Most children at the age of 10 already have fatty deposits in their arteries, which over time harden into the plaques that become heart disease. So this is something that we need to think about. It's also, again, we can completely reverse it and prevent it just based on our dietary choices. So hormones will do nothing for this. We might feel better, but whatever is going on underneath is still going to be happening. So this is why I think it's really important to take what we hear with a grain of salt and tune in. Just listen to our bodies and ask what is really happening. But it's more than physical. So midlife brings all kinds of changes. I mean, it's actually it's a chaotic time. There are changes in our relationships. Just naturally, this happens. There are changes in our families. If we have children, they're growing up, they're leaving home, maybe going to school or starting their own families. This is actually our most productive time in our 40s and 50s when it comes to work. So there's a really good chance that we're burning the candle at both ends. That means a lot of stress. There could be financial stress. Many women, especially in this age group, are the primary breadwinner for their families. So that can be extra stress. And not to get all existential on you, but it's also just a natural time of life when you start asking kind of these bigger questions like, what is it all about? Why am I here? You know, you wake up in the morning and you look at your partner and go, what? You know, this isn't, you start asking questions. And again, I don't think that's an accident. This is, you know, guys get their midlife crisis and they get the Corvette and the buxom blonde. This is kind of what we get. It's a chance for us to take a look at what's happening in our lives and with our health and make changes when we need to. So a one-dimensional view of what's going on, looking at it as looking at menopause at this time of life as just a series of symptoms that I'm feeling that need to be fixed, I think that is doing us a huge disservice because we're missing out on a bigger opportunity. And I actually do think it's an opportunity. Not to be all Pollyanna on you, but in some cultures, they don't even have a word for it. And in China, they refer to it as a second spring. They talk about it as a chance to transition out of the fertile childbearing phase of your life into a period of a completely different creativity and fertility. And I think that's really beautiful, because if you think about it, you know, we've got another half of our life to go. And what a chance, what a great chance to just zoom out and see what's going on, let go of what no longer serves you, either whether it's from a health perspective, whether it's about your life. Many women change careers or choose paths at this time, can completely reboot your health and make new choices. But the point is, whatever it is you do, however you use this second spring, you as a woman facing menopause get to decide what the next 50 years look like. And I think in our culture, the way we approach it right now, this is missed. It's just something that we're trying to make go away. And I think that does us a disservice. So what do you do then? Because nobody wants to feel bad. I really advocate taking a holistic approach to it. And by that, I mean, there are really 5 keys to being healthy through this transition. And I go into this much deeper in a course that I teach. It's a 12-week course called Reset and Renew. And the first pillar is rest, because there have been quite a few studies done that show that women that either get too little sleep or are under too much stress suffer much more during menopause, both physically and emotionally. I mean, sort of duh, right? But it's worth thinking about. You know, how can you really make sure that you're getting the sleep that you need and that you're not stressing out your body and your mind? The second one is diet. And I go really deep on that because that is probably the most powerful and simple way that you can make lasting change to your life. What you eat matters. You know, every forkful that goes in your mouth either promotes health or disease. So this is something that I mean, I feel real strongly about this. I think that we need to pay attention to what we eat. And it doesn't mean that you have to be an automaton and only, you know, eat these 5 things every day, but it means just being really mindful about what you're eating and how it affects your body, because food really does affect menopause and how you experience it. And there are certain foods that you can eat that make a huge difference, especially when it comes to balancing your hormones. Then the next thing is supplements. We talked a little bit already about vitamin B and D, but there are others that I think of as kind of the menopause superstars. They're key nutrients that women lack as they age. It's just natural. And by supplementing those, we can really address some of the things, some of the common issues that women have. No medical intervention needed. It sounds like I'm oversimplifying it, but it actually is pretty simple. You know, you might have to experiment a little bit, because what feels good to me doesn't necessarily feel good to you. But by putting all of these things together and asking the right questions, you can get to a place where you can feel great naturally, and you don't need any sort of medication. The fourth key is exercise, and you guys obviously have that totally down. There have been a lot of studies done that strength training specifically has proven to work just as well as hormone replacement therapy in alleviating vasomotor symptoms. So specifically the hot flashes and the night sweats. It's 43% actually. So, and it's not, you know, powerlifting every day. What they studied was 20 minutes, 3 times a week. I mean, anyone can do that. And it's only to muscle exhaustion. So it's not like, you know, you've got to be doing it an hour. And there are other types of exercise that have also proven to be very, very helpful. they tend to be gentler forms of exercise like yoga or Pilates or Tai Chi. And I found that kind of interesting because they're more, you know, the cardio, like Soul Cycle and super hardcore cardio exercise, it feels great, but it heats your body. So for women that suffer a lot from the hot flashes and night sweats, heating your body like that, especially close to bedtime, is probably not the best choice. Trying something different that's more cooling, like certain types of yoga, might be a better choice. But again, that's something that we talk about in this program a little bit deeper. And then the last pillar is, and it might even be the most important, is community. And, you know, as women, we have this tendency to, we want to just go it alone. We think, you know what, I got this, I'll figure it out. I don't need your help. I'm busy, I don't have time. But when it comes to these really big transitions in our lives, especially menopause, it's not going to work. You need a support group around you. You need people to talk to so that you can learn from each other's experiences, so that you can lean on each other. You know, it's a lot of changes are happening all at once. And when we try to do it ourselves, when we try to isolate, it, you know, it's a mess. It can be a mess. In Japan, they have this really beautiful concept. It's called a moai. And it's a group of women. It doesn't necessarily have to be women, actually. It's just people, a group of people, of friends. It's a small group. There's maybe 5 or 6 people in it. And they take care of each other throughout their lives. They meet in childhood and they stay together throughout their entire lives. And each of them is responsible for the other's well-being. And I think that is just so lovely. This idea that there are people that you can rely on and that will help you as you go through transitions, periods of transitions and change. So if there's one thing that you take away from all this, I hope it is that you're going to find your tribe or community or moai, whatever it is, you're going to find this group of people that will help support you through the change, because it's going to make everything so much easier. And together, I think we can make menopause cool. So I have some resources for you. I have a free guide to mastering menopause, and if you go to this link, you can download it for free. It talks about each of those 5 pillars of health. It goes a little deeper and gives some strategies that are really helpful. And it also gives a peek into what the program looks like. I have a ton of information on my website, makemenopausecool.com, and I link out to all the research. So don't take my word for it. There's a lot of research that's being done more and more every day as people are starting to talk about this. If you want awesome supplements, I actually created a line because I couldn't find what I needed, so I made it myself. They're called Vital Femme. They're non-GMO, they're sourced and produced here in the US, and I have a special F45 discount. There's a discount code there you can use. And I'm not going to turn that off. That's good forever, and shipping is always free. So try them. I think you'll like them. Follow me on social, and you can always contact me directly. So that's my spiel. And if anyone has questions, I'm totally, what do you have?
I have a question.
Okay.
Okay, so what do you have? What is your opinion on like a bioidentical progesterone cream? Or is that something you make yourself, or have any kind of like suggestions on or ideas about?
So, yeah. Again, that brings relief to people. It does. My personal opinion is that it's still hormones. It's still giving your body, it's flooding your body with exogenous hormones that it doesn't necessarily need. That being said, every woman is different. And if you are going to do hormones, I think things like that cream, you know, it's derived from yams or whatever.
Mhm.
I think that is a gentler way to do it, but
Okay.
I don't think you need it. I think there are other ways to get the same result just through food and supplementation and, you know, the rest of it, exercise,
Cool.
mindfulness.
Awesome. Thank you.
You bet. Nothing else?
I have a question. It's Carrie, Delene. Are there any, like, what you would have told yourself, what you would have told the 30-year-old Delene? Is there anything that, like, younger women should kind of, what they can do in their 30s? Like, good habits to
Yeah.
get ready?
I mean, it's funny because menopause is one of those things, like, we know conceptually that it's coming, but my mom never talked to me about it. I mean, I don't think she ever said a word about it. So I didn't know her history with it. And I think if we have mothers that we can ask about, I think that's helpful to know what their journey was like. I think that would have been helpful. The other thing I would have done, I say this now, but you know, I don't know at the time, you know, our diet really does have long lasting cumulative effects on our health. And I wish I would have paid attention to it when I was younger. You know, because a lot of